Welcome back, guys. We took a short little break there, and we're getting ready to hop into the final match of the night. It's going to be Hanwha versus Kingzone Game 3. Hanwha Life, on the backs of SoHwan and friends, were able to dunk on the Vladimir in the top lane, which I'm sure made a lot of people happy for the revenge. And then they were able to win in the late game.
We've had a lot of signs today. Break the limit seems to be the Hanwha Life call, as I see an alpaca in the back. It looked like an alpaca with a beard.
Don't get relegated.
I wonder what Deft with a beard would look like. I wonder what.
I don't think that's physically possible.
Anything's possible, Valdez.
I suppose he could buy a beard wig. Is there a name for a beard wig?
Yes, a beard wig.
Oh, I see. Okay. Figured it out.
What can I say? I'm a purveyor of many things. Did you think this beard was real, Valdez? No, obviously not.
It just looks so natural.
Thank you. It's luscious. As we've had
I
some...
know, I felt it before.
Wow, okay. Thanks, Brenda18. As
no problem.
we get into pick and ban for game number 3. Remember, Mordekaiser and Kiana are available in this particular game. A lot of lethality Varus into Infinity Edge Varus. So the Varus picks in general have been plentiful. Here's a bold prediction. It's not that bold. We've got Deft and Sangyoon, noted Jinx players. Someone's going to snap out of it and lock in Jinx this game. Jinx Tom, especially, has been common, but maybe the hopes for Jinx will be dashed because Tom Kench is staying on the bench.
I'm happy about that. We got 3 games of 3 Tom Kench fans. That's exactly what we want to see when we want action. So, no Catfish today, and no Ashe as well.
It's been a popular one. Varus, one of the reasons you go into Ashe, because it's another kind of longer range champion, non-committal. Don't want to get poked by that Comet Ashe that is becoming so popular with the 40% CDR and was always a Sangyoon choice. Rascal picked for his boy Cuzz and jammed the Karthus first in game number 1. Karthus hits the sideline. Karma's open, which, you know, is just something that we have to report. Kind of like bad weather coming when you had a beach party lined up. Still true. Karma's open. Be surprising not to see it claimed. I think you just pick it and then raffle it off later as to where it's going.
You see what makes sense. Now, the Karma hasn't had too much success here. 37.5% of the time. As SoHwan is playing with his pick. I think that Rumble and Lux are right next to each other because they're both law in Korean.
I'll take your word for it on that one. Wouldn't have known that.
One is Luck and one is Dom.
It sounds like you're clearing your voice after you just hit a high note and you weren't sure if you could hit it again. So I'll leave you with that. You
leave me to do my thing.
I tried to, Valdez.
Uh-huh.
We've tried to leave Hanwha Life to do their thing, and it hasn't really suited the meta so much in 2019 summer, but this is a very Hanwha Life thing. Getting Kennen as early as possible. Only top laner banned is Jace, so it's kind of just hoping that it's a top lane Karma and trying to farm out as Kennen. Not a huge fan of the matchup, but with gank assist it can work, and you are a better teleport flanker, so you got that going for you. See what it all means, though. Kingzone have kind of, when in doubt, just gone back to the Ezreal. Doesn't have the Tahm Kench to play wantonly aggressive in the trading phase, but I'm not surprised to see the Nico priority. In fact, game number 1 and 2, it was notably kind of down from Kingzone. They could have first rounded it. In both those drafts, it was left open. Now we actually see it locked in this spot, probably for Naehyun. So it's probably going to be top lane Karma and mid lane on the Nico, but it could also be Karma helping Ezreal push in the bottom lane. That is definitely a distinct possibility.
The SoHwan gets picked up here right before the second ban phase, so they can just go ahead and take away the Trundle to start off. Maybe just another jungler that's decent into the SoHwan up next, but SoHwan, the highest presence currently in the LCK, but for, 3 or 4 pick and bans in a row, she has been falling down a bit in terms of the, the order in which that pick is actually taken.
And this is the kind of example of a scenario where I don't like SoHwan. When it's locked in with no lane melee synergy to actually get gank pressure out of her, and then it's, if you miss the R, you're kind of useless, right? So this is definitely a tricky scenario to get a lot of value out of SoHwan in. Definitely see other teams around the world do this. In Korea, very rarely do you have double ranged and SoHwan taken first round, but that happens here. Camille actually was banned away from the Hanwha Life side because it is a frequent Rascal champion. Will we see Aurelia considered here? SoHwan can definitely play that champion, and Lava has played it sparingly, but that would give them a synergy. But we're thinking it's Cannon top, right? Almost certainly. So what will we see? Will they dare to bring out the NA bot lane duo that can be oh so powerful, but hasn't worked in Korea traditionally? They're looking for another way to out-trade an Ezreal, and it's going to be the Caitlyn. Cool to see Caitlyn Lux. If you don't blow the Caitlyn Lux's flash, they're taking your turret, and they're taking it early, Valdez.
We saw he had a big smile on his face, so we knew something was up. And this is something that is, you know, very expected for Naehyun.
Mid lane Azir, top lane Nico, Ezreal, Karma, bot lane are pushing. We know all of that. What's going in the jungle? Because the Karthus fallback is banned. It's against SoHwan. Kayn would be a pick for someone like Ning, for example, in this scenario. You can go conventional, or you can go pretty crazy, because SoHwan doesn't apply a lot of pressure. And Cuzz is going to go for a pick that Clit has been loving on SKT, and has had a bit of a renaissance just going into the Jarvan. And you know what? I actually really like it, because Jarvan from level 2 onwards can go bot lane and fish for a flash that you desperately need against sangyoon and Key.
Nowadays, when I see players pick Jarvan, I just think of Canyon and how he basically just 1v9'd by himself.
Hey.
As we're getting Qiyana back. Okay.
Wow.
Nice.
Rolling back the Qiyana and saying, it's not the champion, it was me. I'll do it better this time. We're hearing there might be a couple of last-minute things before we get into game. Game will be paused, was called by G-Sun. We'll get more context on that when we have it. But hopefully we'll get into the game pretty expediently. We'll get you any updates as we get them. Lava, Ignite, Qiyana. They're trying it again, rolling it back. I like it, because it shows strength of character, Valdez. There's so many people that, oh, I had a bad game on a new champion, I'm donezo with that pick. But Lava willing to roll it back, and there's a reason that I named the 2019 Most Improved Player the Lava Award, because Lava went from being just a new mid laner after starting his career as a support into a very capable and often able to take games off the great mid laners player by the end of 2018. Definitely had that big rise last year. We'll see who actually will win the Lava Award in 2019. Maybe we can muse about it if we do end up having an extended pause for the LCK's Most Improved Player in 2019. Looking over the champs here, Rascal on a mage, Naehyun on Azir, but the way we got there was a little bit surprising given the Karma flex to bot lane.
And once again, something here sticks out like a sore thumb. That's Qiyana. Once again, Lava going to be bringing it back for us in a very dominant, push-heavy bottom lane. And Bono back on the SoHwan. So this could be the way that Hanwha Life might take a series off a big team. Let's see if they can actually do it here in game number 3. Qiyana Whiting from the audience.
Qiyana, super fan in the audience. I'm not indifferent on Qiyana, but I haven't made my mind up on her just yet. I know she does a lot of damage. Speaking of which, not necessarily as much to champions, but definitely to turret health bars. Caitlyn and Lux have that reputation. This is a very interesting game, Valdez, because it feels like Cuzz needs to go bot to help out the bot lane, but obviously Hanwha Life will be expecting that. The jungle pathing is one to inspect, who naturally will path bot side, or does someone just go for a, I'm going to start here and then just go straight bot lane, whether it's counter ganking or positively playing around that lane. There's also a lot of other kind of matchups here. For example, you'd give priority to Azir in mid, but Lava went CS for CS with Azir on this Qiyana in game number 1. You have priority for the Twin Shadows Nico in the Cannon matchup. Just like Victor, it's a very strong matchup against the Cannon. But given we think we know how the waves go, and we even think we know where the junglers need to go, it only takes one of those things being thrown up in the air, and sometimes it cascades down to everything. So let's watch for the start here. It is a top side start into, it seems like level 3 bot side, or maybe double big buff start, because definitely not expecting him to go to top red side jungle. He's got to go bot lane and help out the bot.
You talked about that. Karma could be thrown in pretty much any lane. The Ezreal Karma will be down here. TusiN, not sure how much experience he has on this pick. He just missed the Magic Q, which is, it's hard to do, actually.
So you're saying he's talented?
Nothing against TusiN. That was just, you know, kind of obvious. It was a nice dodge from Key, but either way, you can see that so far they were actually able to hit level 2 first. And now they're the ones pushing down into the bottom side as Cuzz is around the area.
You can see that Bono ended up going for a ultra safety first clear of blue buff into just trying to clear the 2 big buffs and not be counter jungled by Cuzz. I actually have the ability to check in on your question. This is game number 409 for TusiN in pro play. And he's played 14 games. This is his 15th game on Karma. He's currently 50% win rate, so not that surprising given that he is best known more recently as a engaged support player. The Karma is more of the poke support. It's a champion that Gorilla would struggle on when he would take to Alistair and Tom Kench like a champion. So because of that, it's very much, I'm going to help Deft's laning phase. What Karma does for champions is it kind of like the Lux has done for champions, kind of babies up the lane presence, because Karma can poke, Karma can 1v2, some AD carry support duos. She just gives so much in the trades that she's helping Deft be stronger, and you know that Deft doesn't need too much invitation on the Ezreal to just take a game by the scruff of the neck and just straight up hard carry it. His last 2 Ezreal games, one at Rift Rivals, one in the LCK, have both been MVP performances.
Wouldn't be surprised to have another one happen here tonight, as it wasn't actually banned at all.
Kiana on a walk.
Okay, here we go. This is a level 4 gank. You don't necessarily expect this all the time, but there was a question mark ping.
But what can Lux do here? It would kind of have to be a flash binding to be able to hit this one. I'm going to try and sneak it through. There it is.
Okay, nice try, but Deft is there. He's looking for Deft now. A nice amount of burst damage coming in, but Lava not able to do quite enough damage as Deft will get away, and he has TP.
When timing comes in, Bono can hold the minion wave if he needs to. Seems like it was on a recall timing for double longsword, so you'll take that as Lava. You would have assumed that Tiamat would be the purchase from Kiana players, but so far in pro play it's been largely just full-on lethality and trying to skip over any pitfalls and wave clear. Thankfully with W kind of QWQs, you can still wave clear pretty decently. Going for a full AD build, but Tiamat potential always there as well.
We did see that from Lava in game 1. We'll see if he does return to that, but as you can see, he's just catching the wave in the mid lane for now.
I love the summoner spell choice from TusiN. You know, he's gone Comet for lane phase, he's gone Cleanse just in case a Lux binding hits him. He doesn't need Ignite to have crazy lane presence. He's Karma. That's what the champion is known for. And this is basically, hey, you're the push, push, push primo 2v2 lane in most nations. I'm going to go a build that stops you from playing your natural playstyle of profiting from turret lanes.
Yeah, I mean, against another bottom lane, they would probably already have a turret plate by now. We've seen that happen before. We already saw it tonight.
But I love the way they're playing this lane. They're pulling off a freeze as Cuzz walks up. Caitlyn and Lux are probably the 2 most able of duo lanes to help push from range, right? You can build over Peacemaker, and Lux also has her ability to push, and yet it's a growing CS lead for Deft and TusiN, just kind of using their veteran wiles in the 2v2 to pull off a bit of a charade onto sangyoon and Key.
Yeah, it's definitely helped out a bit by the amount of times that Cuzz has been to the bottom side, clearing out vision. Already has cleared out a couple of wards, I believe. He was able to invade and spot in the right side jungle early on in the game up against Bono. so far that's made it a bit easier for the side of KingZone.
And it's plays like this that are quite intricate, right? A lot of has had to happen around KingZone's bot lane for it to be as strong as it is right now. Deft and TusiN have played it well. They've roamed at the right times. They had a group minion wave and tried to threaten with the Jarvan and also the mid lane coming down. That's a nice trade this time from Sangyoon and Key. But the theory in Korea is this lane is not popular because Caitlyn can't function if her flash is down, or if Lux's flash is down, she can't function. And if she can't function, she doesn't get to team fight with her items because she needs 3-4 to be big in team fights. If she's not walking around sieging and then sieging top lane at 8 minutes with a fast turret, then it's not worth Caitlyn, is the theory among the LCK analysts and also pro players. You see what's needed to be invested to try to start that setup, but the payoff on the setup is a CS lead for Ezreal in this feared Caitlyn and Lux lane.
Yeah, Deft's having a grand old time here. TusiN didn't have the best time as Key was able to delay his back, actually, so is very delayed to pick up that second part of the support item. And we've been really focusing in on this bottom lane, the observers, all of us. And haven't really focused on any other lanes because nothing much is happening. The Nico versus Kennen matchup in the top side, you can see that Rascal's already doing a pretty good job, up about 10 CS after the wave does crash.
It's a little bit bigger than you'd expect, but kind of the 10 CS mark is not too surprising. It's going to be AP Kennen. Could have told you that when we noticed the unsealed spellbook. You're not going to be going into an on-hit build if you don't go for the Cuvée style press the attack. It just means you kind of have to grin and bear it. There's no real way for you to interact unless you're all-inning onto an eco. SoHwan on a wild ride. Ultimate is up. Probably going to have to go mid lane to find too much backup. But I guess the Kennen flash ult is there too.
You see Deft is already styling a bit in the lane, just arcane shifting forward, doesn't really feel threatened. He knew the binding was down.
We get the Tiamat this time from Lava, so is trying to match wave clear. This time the CS lead is much more healthy from Naehyun, so I do like that he's been a bit more aggressive around what should be a very comfortable outrange matchup. The all-in window is always there if you're near a wall, but you're pushing on in the middle of mid lane. Should be doing fine.
And so every lane right now is winning for KingZone by about 15 to 20 CS. So
I wonder what Deft
CSD
good. Is on Ezreal. His average CSD, because at least his last 3 games, he's run away with the laning phase every time. Karma support doing a lot of help here. That's 2 turret plays on the Lux lane with Caitlyn. Zone masterfully playing against this lane so far, and with all that presence, Cuzz can slowly solo down the Mountain Drake.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't really been too much action. No kills so far, but a lot has happened to allow KingZone to get into this position, just the jungle presence and the Karma presence in the lane. Some of the picks very good here for KingZone. And now they have a Mountain Drake and over 2,000. We're just going to try to sweep away the Qiyana as Naehyun able to avoid that stun.
You can see that disengaging is, oh, that's the binding. TusiN gonna use the cleanse that we mentioned earlier.
That's some value cleanse right there.
You see the problem for Naehyun, because Lava will fish for an all-in. You try to use the ultimate, to try to disengage there. But the moment you put down that ultimate, Qiyana just ults and you will always be hit by the AoE, so it doesn't disengage the ult damage. Ult Ignite is quite a big amount of burst, so just because the Emperor's Divide is a wall, it makes those different calculations against a Qiyana quite risky for Naehyun. Given that, he is up flash though after the all-in.
Yeah, Azir is a slippery guy. He's moving in and out. He can use the soldiers to get away.
Look at this gold lane. It's actually a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we were talking about, right? Every lane is winning. Even the jungle's ahead by 23 CS.
Top lane had managed to slow down since our last check-in, but yeah, the other 2 lanes in the jungle are making up for it. Moby Boots and Tiamat, the budget Talon build going on here for the Qiyana, but Moby Boots wouldn't have been useful in game number 1. We didn't really see Lava make any proactive map plays like you would expect from something like a Talon, so remain to be convinced they can pull this one off. Feels a little bit like locking for power level right now.
And KingZone, they have control of this river. They have 3 control wards, it looks like. Over on this side, they're winning the lanes, and they say, hey, well, what's a good thing to do when you're in that position? Let's go for Shelly. Pick her up, and it's before 14, so we should be able to get some plates from this one as well. This might's going to be easy. Looks like that actually went to Rascal, as Cuzz is able to get away with the flag and drag, and nobody's harmed in the process, except Shelly, who will be respawned.
But there's a bit of a meanwhile once again. Guess who's bot lane? Picking up turret plates. Ults to harass. The Caitlyn on the way back, but more importantly, keep that attack speed high. Deft pushes in, and he is going to have his 2 items done nice and early. You're really scared here, and Cuzz is joining not to jam down the Rift Herald. He knows they're going to get this turret just straight up.
Yeah, I like how Deft was. Well, might have to hold this on as we have 3 members in the top side looking for a dive. That one is going to land on a Rascal who does not flash it. He knows he has the stopwatch. Bono going to tank for quite a while and hand that one over to the Kiana. As Rift Herald coming down here in the mid lane, looking to give over some gold and maybe even push for a little bit more. As Cuzz, Naehyun, and even TusiN are here in the mid lane. As Deft was taking down the bottom lane turret, so the poking is good. They get a bunch more plates. And even though the kill is good in the top side for Hanwha, KingZone get a lot more.
Yeah, it's 10 turret plates already for KingZone, even before they get the 11th, which would be the last plate in the mid lane. Already 1 plate in top. If you're wondering how the quick math was done. TP comes through. Deft is back on the Rift, and yep, I don't care how much lethality you have. In fact, you got none. And there's already an Iceborne Gauntlet done on Ezreal. Flat pen stacking against an Ezreal has always been a frustration for Assassins, and right now, Deft is looking like, once again, he's playing his own single-player game on the Ezreal. Just makes it look so damn easy.
Yeah, I like how for 2 games he was like, yeah, maybe I can play this other champion that's, you know, this Varus guy, maybe give him a try. And then they lose 1 game, he's like, all right, I have to pull out the Ezreal, I guess. Wasn't banned. I mean, I didn't see it banned in any of the games here in the second series, so he eventually pulled the trigger on that one.
I'm gonna watch the replay here. Notice that Rascal's full mana never uses ultimate to try to shield. It wasn't an obvious spot to use it, but even at the end, you would have thought for like the 100-odd shield, 200 shield, it would have been worth it. Cooldown isn't that long, but Rascal doesn't use it. Rascal dies. Doesn't infect too much, because Deft was ready to saddle up and go to the top side and continue to play. The turret plates are down, and that's actually happy news for the Caitlyn Lux, which isn't the way you think about it. Look at this. So many turret plates. 1760 gold from the 11 plates. Deft keeps pushing, and now Bono's feeling that pressure. Hit the ult, otherwise the contribution of a SoHwan in this scenario is very minimal.
Yeah. The do something pressure from the jungler when you're behind. It's like, how can I help my team? TP's coming in, as Deft is going to gracefully fly by, but Deft is going to die anyway, as everybody ended up flashing on top of him and not allowing him to get away. The Proto Belt's already done on the cannon, helping make that play.
I very much appreciate your calm weather report for Deft's life. It turns out life was vacated. He went down. Enough members and you kill him. What does it really achieve, though, as Naehyun can push in? We will see Rascal pushing in the bot side. Top lane out of turret and then disengage. Potentially set up vision is a possibility for Hanwha Life, but otherwise, just a single kill onto the Ezra. And I guess the 150 gold bounty he had already put together.
Well, everything's being pushed in. I mean, we're only 15 minutes into the game, but somehow, you know, Rascal's down in bot, already knocking onto that tier 2. Naehyun's here in the mid lane, bullying Bono. As Deft even going for the cheeky poke play from downtown to help out as Karma go 1v2. Things are absolutely just flying smoothly over here.
Just being a jerk and poking people from their back timers under the outer turret in top. Deft just says, well, I'll go get the turret that we need to get the full outer ring KO'd. Another Luden's game from Naehyun. Seem to be subscribing to the low attack speed build that we've seen recently from a lot for a bit more burst damage on this Azir. Lava now spotted roaming out. Remember, this is Moby Boots. He's fast, but he's going to back away.
Yeah. decided against it there, perhaps. He had a bunch of his team, but I guess they didn't have enough solid vision to make sure.
They have a problem, Valdez, in that now what will Caitlyn achieve as a champ? 40 CS down without map control, right? And then you flow on from there, what does an assassin achieve with no map control, trying to cut between waves? They need to find a way to make Caitlyn a relevant champion before 3 items, counter-rotating, and find assassination. So when the TP is down from someone like SoHwan, when the game is made more honest from Kingzone, it's actually so hard for Hanwha Life to find any positive trades just because Kingzone is slippery and just have complete run of the map.
I mean, that is the problem, right? Caitlyn known for her lane presence and a relatively weak early, or rather mid-game, you should say.
The mid-game when she gets the first turret is so scary, right? Because there's traps go down and, oh crap, what can I do here? But from behind, it's a very different predicament. Same story for a champion like Zed and growingly. The Qiyana. Now, if the enemy gets a bit too frisky after 20 minutes and you hit one of those like 5-man Qiyana ultimates in your red side jungle, that could potentially be a shift away, but actually being able to hit the side lane like SoHwan's teleport should be almost impossible with even decent vision coverage from Kingzone Dragon X.
So we're waiting for this one. We got the Infernal in about 2 minutes. We're at 20. See what does happen there. I'm liking the amount of Mikhails that are built nowadays. I don't know if you've noticed this, but so many supports on both sides are just picking up Mikhails.
We've been ruminating on it, you and I, Atlas and I, because it's almost like with Tahm Kench banned a lot, we got the Tahm Kenches out and the budget Tahm Kench, which is the Mikhails Crucible. For all the picked champions, we got lots with Ashe, the meta, and all the other things. Bit of trading places here, as that's a lot of damage.
Deft is already doing the chunking.
They can follow in this bot lane wave. It's actually in a pretty good spot because it's been not fully pushed and another minion wave is on the way. Just getting in annoying poke damage. Bono has to take his time, walking the long way. As Deft is there first, and somehow, you always say it, whenever he's on the Rift, it feels like he is the strongest person on the Rift when he's playing the Ezreal. Not necessarily the hugest career win rate. It's his 70th game on Ezreal. It's around 53%. And I actually think it wasn't a great pick for KT. Last year, we saw a lot less of that Ezreal. That's not going to be a SoHwan ult to remember. But with this team, on Kingzone, where he does play hard carry and can play relentlessly aggressive with TusiN a bit more often, I do feel like it is his perfect pick on Kingzone Dragon X.
I mean, I'm of the mind that it should just be permabanned against this guy. He's shown too many games where he's not only winning or even only having a good performance, he is single-handedly doing crazy stuff.
It's the swagger, right?
It's the moment where you're like, okay, we cannot let him have this chance.
It's the swagger, I think, that we both agree on because, you know, we have the Wung direction meme from a long time ago when Gunwung, MIG Frost, famous for flashing in the wrong direction. And it's about aggressively arcane shifting in when you could be under threat. But with Tahm Kench, he always knows his limit. He gets the Mikhails. He's like, it's close enough. It's Tahm Kench-ish.
Okay, Lava trying to make it happen. You're going to stun 2 members, but he gets really low as Rascal nearly able to dunk him. They're all flashing away from everything. 4 flashes in a row. As Hanwha Life are like, nope, never mind. We didn't want to fight, actually.
Yeah, they get the 4-finger discount on the flash button there. Suddenly, any Baron plays so hard.
The recall. Oh, okay. Lava not quite low enough.
But this is going to be so hard to contest anything now. Caitlyn, Lux, the Assassin, and the Sejuani all lose flash. I guess Kennen can still flank, but otherwise, what a disaster for Hanwha Life.
I mean, we're going to have to take a look at the replay and see, you know, what they were thinking with the vision, but felt like it was just Qiyana saw a squishy target, and Lava was getting a little bit antsy, and he's like, maybe I can do something here. Ended up baiting his team a bit.
If you want to do the prediction here, it's that Kingzone control the pit. Lux has to check multiple times, gets caught checking because she doesn't have her flash anymore. They run out of vision and Kingzone take a Baron. Now, that's usually what happens from plays like this. We know that Hanwha Life from behind, we're going to struggle with the Caitlyn Lux, but really feels like there's a way to make this all about Baron. Infernal Mountain going to be helpful. You're pointing out a difference. Yeah, it's 3,600 gold just between the 80 carries, and Lava's already almost dead.
He just single-handedly tunks 3 members within the span of 2 seconds.
Valdez, point
from
to the,
safety.
Could you please point to the assassin in this game?
It's Deft.
We didn't point, but
The guy
point
with
was
the red
taken.
buff and the glowing hands, yeah, it's him.
The Ezreal, in fact, was the correct answer. Good call on that one. The hunter has become the hunted. Hanwha Life Esports feels like they're primed to make a mistake before those flashes come back and for Kingzone to close the game from it. They're in a really good spot, and they can be so ordered in scenarios like this. This is the usual game state where we praise Kingzone Dragon X for making smart closings of games.
Yeah, just spreading out for now. They're sending Azir to the top lane, actually. Has his flash and cleanse. But you can see that immediately. Hanwha Life is like, oh, maybe we could find something up there, but
remember, any play like this is
way.
so scary, Valdez, with all those flashes down. Oh my god! Deft, calm down.
He's like a hunter hunting deer.
He's
in the
peeved.
forest.
Peeved is the word I will use. We'll keep it PG for now. I thought
It's
about
like,
the other
I
one.
really wanted to go home early tonight, guys.
Well, they want the go-home moment. Deep teleport's going to be too late.
Okay, the ultimate, though, going to come in. Stun one of the guys as Jarvan will pick it up here. Kiana looking for me. Here comes Rascal, but SoHwan getting into the pit, able to take down one. And Deft is dead.
TusiN fail flash as well into the wall.
We're looking for it here as it's the Azir and the Jarvan. Able to go to multiple corners, and they spread out. And it actually works to save a bunch of them.
Huge, deep teleport eventually finds Deft. He dies, but the Baron is claimed, and importantly, both solo laners keep the buff. So with grouping, they can still get a Baron push-off. Speaking of that grouping, Rascal, just pushing in the mid lane. The shop will happen, but Hanwha Life Esports, predictably, with all their flashes down, had to be safety first, and that meant an easy Baron secure. Although Kingzone made it look difficult, for some reason Baron fell to around 150 health.
Yeah, there have been a couple of small things, but we'll take another look here at the replay.
Yeah, the Kiana ult does a lot of damage to TusiN actually, and also gets the stun on Deft.
Hit 3 of them.
Bono was gate, but watch here. I mean, the Baron fell low, and then SoHwan got his flash back up and found nice access. They killed Deft. TusiN fail flashed. Oopsies on that one. Speaking of those side laners of Baron, though.
They're going to flash the first part. We're tanking here for the Kiana, as Rascal is going to be stunned up for days and dies to 3 of them, as Kingzone are pushing mid lane.
Meanwhile, that's pretty big here. Even the Lux ult not going to do anything against Baron. They're going to lose inhibitor for this.
And it's looking to be just the one mid inhibitor, but already Azir is knocking on the door of the top lane. As Kingzone, they have a lot of mobility here. You can see Cuzz and Deft just waiting on the side.
That was a bit of a KR macro moment, and it might be even worse.
Oh boy. Now they're looking to just zone them all out. Deft is alive again, so basically they can't do anything for Hanwha Life.
Are there any 2 members of Hanwha Life whose power level put together is that of Deft this game right now?
The power level, I guess it depends on the situation, though.
In this situation.
The easy answer is no.
I think that's probably where I would go.
But if you're asking, like, can 2 members find him and burst him down? Probably yes.
With the way the game is playing out, he can do so much. He's under no shackles at all. Arcane shifting aggressively. They want this final inhibitor turret, and they might just get it.
Yeah, Deft not wasting any time here. Underneath that turret, has 3.5 items. Ludens just doing that bounce damage. Just knocking them all out on the backside. Here's Lava, though. And it's just going to be knocked up. Nicely done by Cuzz. And he's actually going to be the one engaging here onto Lava. Lava has to flash away. And they get all the inhibitors. You can see Deft here once more. And Naehyun is not stopping. He's leading the charge. Really wants to end this game right here, right now.
They got a dinner booking at 11 p.m. It's 10:31 Korean Standard Time. 1 Nexus Star goes down. All 3 inhibitors down. And just no one to deal with. Deft on this Ezreal.
Really want to make the last of this Baron buff, as sangyoon really not doing much in this game. Poor guy. after that laning phase, trying his best, but it's just going to go down. Will Key on the backside. Deft here is going to have to flash away for the first time. Lava trying to get on in there. Nobody can touch him as the disengage, and Rascal gets in the back line. Everybody wanted to get on top of that meaty backline of Deft and Naehyun, but it wasn't enough, and that's going to do it. KingZone will be able to take down the game in 27 minutes.
Confident victory for KingZone Dragon X in game number 3, battling back after losing game number 2 to Hanwha Life Esports. Deft gets Ezreal, Deft wins. No smiles from Deft to close out this game. He just did his job. Means that KingZone get another one of those slightly unconvincing victories after Rift Rivals. 2 out of 3, I would say, on that particular regard. But a victory is a victory, and it does mean their match against Gen G. It's a very interesting main event towards the opening match of Damwon Gaming versus Griffin on Saturday.
Saturday's the day. If you are, you enjoyed the broadcast, you want to watch more Korean League of Legends, tomorrow we'll have some fun, but Saturday is going to have some insane matchups. So make sure you guys are tuning in for that one. That says TusiN. TusiN.
That is the Korean pronunciation, in case you wonder why LS also does say TusiN from time to time. Always been a feature of the old SPO TV broadcasts. Get to open up and look at tomorrow's games. Jinna SKT and the Monkas match. 94 minutes to dream. Match. And then a FLICKR KT, which I guess could be anything. It's probably going to be messy, right, between those two teams, but you would assume that a FLICKR will get over the line. There's the huddle. Acorn the most close to the screen. It was very Western with the hands in the air, but they definitely care on the side of KingZone. They're going to walk away with a victory, and that's the most important thing, but hard to work out what it means for that battle against Gen G on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, KingZone, we like to talk about them. They're winning a lot here, but Hanwha Life, at least they were able to pick up a game win. As, it's kind of sad, that once again they will lose another series and go down to 2-9, I believe now. But they're trying to avoid relegation at all costs. There's 7 teams, and then there's 3 teams. I can't understand anything, says that guy on the left. But he knows he's surrounded by Deft fans. So he understands that, at least, I hope.
And I actually love that you bring up game score to keep it back on brand, because right now, Hanwha KT probably going to be joining one of those 2 teams, joining Jin Air in relegations. Both are 2-8, I guess 2-9 now for Hanwha Life, but they were, before this series, 2-8, and actually same win-loss. They were both -10. I believe KT at 7 wins, 17 losses, might have been able to win a tiebreaker somewhere way down, but losing by only 1 game, if both these teams continue to struggle, could be oh so important. There's a real chance 1 game score in a month's time decides playing relegations to the all-important 8th spot and being free and clear for 2020.
We got some nice drawings here.
The dealing machine is Deft. In case you guys are wondering,
he's dealing damage, guys.
It's not a Walter White reference. He is, in fact, a damage dealer, is what they call them here. Dealers.
Yeah.
They're
all dealers.
It's dealers and tankers, right? Is that right? I think they call them tankers also.
Yeah.
And supporters, I guess?
Supporters, yeah.
They don't say healers. I think they say dealers, tankers, supporters.
Yep. That they do. Supporters.
There you go. So, yeah, not a Walter White situation. Although, now I kind of want bald and bearded Deft to hit the rift.
I don't think we'll ever have a bald or bearded, or bald and bearded
You know what?
player.
I reckon we might if we just ask the wonderful LCK Legion to tweet us the Walter White and Deft crossover. I accept Alpacas and also Deft's face. I also accept Kiana games, but Lava really wasn't able to get anything going in this series. 2 games on Kiana and really unconvinced, all things considered.
Maybe we can have you here when you go pro in TFT, when that happens. So you can shave your head and then just have the beard, and you can be that guy.
I don't think I'm going to be a pro player in TFT by any means, but I'll be an enthusiast, that's for sure. I'm a Deft Ezreal enthusiast as well. The 70th time is the charm for Deft when it comes to Korean Ezreal games. I believe we don't include the LPL games. There's probably way more than that in that particular statistic. Watching the close here, and for once the disengage that was important from the Emperor's Divide. SoHwan goes down, and so does any hope for Kingzone in the series.
Saying it's tiring, it's hard, it's tough, over and over and over at the end. You can see, as you were kind of mentioning, not many smiles. It's just, I mean, it's a lot of damage, right? It's a gigantic big bar there from the Ezreal.
Let's do the quick maths here. It's 10.7, 18.7, 23.2, 28k damage, all of the enemy team, and 22.2k from Deft.
Yeah. Big
performance from him when it comes to his team. Looked like it was around, I couldn't actually see all the numbers, I was too focused on the right side, but obviously a huge percentage of team's damage. This is Deft's Ezreal in 2019. It's always been a great pick for him, but never better than recently. 43.3%. He's looking at you, he's staring down your soul, and we're going to hear from him. Might be a short interview because he doesn't seem very talkative based on that game.
Yeah, it was definitely a not easy series, you would say, from the side of Kingzone. It seems like they were very dissatisfied with how Game 2 went.
If I translate the Deft I saw on screen, I'm not talking about the picture we saw, but the actual video, it felt like Deft was annoyed that he had to play Ezreal for the win.
Yeah. It's like, you mean I gotta try in this game?
He was having a happy Varus day. Maybe it was in his contract, one day Varus only. Not gonna happen today. Partly his own fault, they weren't able to get the win in game number 2, but it does mean we will be treated to a bot lane interview. TusiN picked up the MVP in game number 1. We get Deft down. I hope there's some of that business. I feel like when you get the bot lane, sometimes you get some of the biffo, some of the issues between the lane members. And let's throw it over.
Let's see if TusiN can help us out with the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is TusiN with the translation, and we'll be here from the dual laners. TusiN Deft from Kingzone picking up 2-1 victory up against Hanwha Life. So in game number 2, I heard it wrong, so I made a bad decision, so we lost the game. But, well, in the end, we did pick up a win, so it's a big relief. And Deft, it was an extended game and day. Wasn't it tiring? Well, we do more screens actually every day, so it wasn't really tiring. After game number 2, well, a lot of fans were expecting Ezreal from you, and you did lock in Ezreal in game number 3, so were you feeling like I'm gonna carry game number 3? Well, I didn't really set it up before the game starts. Well, that was the bad situation to play Ezreal, and the game went quite well, so it was a good result for us. As you mentioned, Kingzone ended the game really quickly. So you were going up against Caitlyn and Lux, so any tips for, maybe laning phase, because they're really strong in the early phase. For tips, avoid the skills and lend your skills. So if you get binded by Lux, you have to make sure to avoid that. Game 2 was really close actually. However, Hanwha was able to kind of close out the game. So what kind of feedback did you guys have after that game? So we had to give more pressure to Talia in mid lane, but we weren't able to kind of do that. So Rascal had a lot of hard times. We made a lot of mistakes in terms of vision. So game 3, we kind of concentrated on controlling the vision, and we were able to kind of win the game. So let's go back to game number 1. So we want to talk about Qiyana right here, because Kingzone kept hovering Qiyana during the champ select as well. So how does the player rate Qiyana in the current meta? It's not a blind pick champion, to be honest. I think we're not really sure, so that's why we didn't really lock it in. But Hanwha kind of did quite great job with Kiana, so I think it's a very viable pick. And TusiN, well, you are recently making huge value out of Unsealed the Spellbook. People really call you the god of the Unsealed Spellbook, so is there any composition or situation where you can utilize it? It doesn't really depend on the composition. When you go with Brown, there isn't any special spell you really want to stick onto, so I just went to the Unsealed Spellbook. So in game, it looked quite okay, I guess. And also, Deft, you went with Unsealed Spellbook on Varus as well. So what's the strength of that rune with Varus? Biggest one is that you can use teleports, but you can also switch it into other spells. So I think that's the best part, but it's really weak in the laning phase. So I don't think it's really that good. And TusiN, we have a highlight of you utilizing the spells, so let's go through the highlights together. So, you really survived for a long time. Well, in the end, I did die, but I was like, let's try Baron and try to open fight here. So we were having a situation where I'll be the only one sacrificing and all the other players just like wiping out other players. So I just told my teammates that I'm pretty dead, but just do your best to win the fight. And that was very close, but Deft also manages to complete the TP. So KingZone with 2-1 score, you guys are able to pick up a win. However, you guys are on the winning streak, but there haven't been a lot of 2-0 games recently. Well, game score does matter, but at the same time, we can learn a lot from losing games. So we go back to the drawing board, we learn and we improve. So I think that's about it. And your next opponent will be Genji. They picked up a win today earlier, so any resolution going into that series? I think the season is coming, so I'm a little bit afraid, but our momentum and our everything else, we are also very a strong team, so it's going to be a very exciting match. The game will be about the bot lane, so your confidence. I cannot say I'm not confident on the MVP interview. I'm always confident, and it's gonna be very exciting. So congratulations on the win, and thank you very much for this interview. This will be the end of the interview with TusiN Deft from KingZone Dragon X, and I'm gonna pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji-san, for that translation. As always, good to hear from them. Deft, I love his explanation of the Unsealed Spellbook. He's like, yeah, the reason I use it is because you can change the spells and use them to teleport.
Someone learned something from
maybe you can get other spells, and I just love it. He's a great interview candidate, as we always have him up there very often. A little bit less this season, but now he's racking them up at the end.
You know who else racking up important things? It's only 1 point, but it puts KingZone first because they have head-to-head against Sandbox. Remember, in Korea, it's match score, i.e. amount of best-of-3 wins. Both have 8. Game score, which is wins over losses. Both are +7. Then head-to-head as the third tiebreaker. Well, head-to-head was KingZone 2-0ing Sandbox earlier in the season. They were the only team to beat Sandbox in the start of the first round robin, but now Sandbox have lost twice to KingZone and also have one other match loss. So because of that, well, here we go. We're in this spot where KingZone Dragon X are first, but the 7-3 crew is rolling in for the rest of this week.
And they're facing each other.
Yeah. So if Damwon Gaming or Griffin have any match win, they will move to first.
That is true. Well, for tomorrow's games, you and I will be back, Papa Smithy, and it will be Jin versus SKT.
Oh, no.
Let's hope it doesn't go to 94 minutes again. And Afrika versus KT Rolster, bound to be a roller coaster of a series, haha. As they will probably both be having a lot of fun. I'm assuming a bunch of mistakes will be made. And that sometimes makes for some fun League of Legends, Papa.
First match is Jinna versus SKT, and Achilles is definitely in Korea. So that's quite a lot of worrying trends that if I chart together and add Diamond 2 to Jat's not around anymore, what does it mean?
Uh-oh.
I'm kind of scared about the first match here. SK Telecom have been in great form. We do expect to know what this series is about, and yet, who knows?
You never really know. We'll just have to wait until tomorrow, Papa, to figure out what that's going to be. But thank you guys for watching. As always, we love you. Good night.
You take me higher when I feel low. Make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, oh, with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. This is the beginning. Together we'll be winning. With you I'm excited. Make my soul sing. 'Cause with you I'm feeling feather-light.
This place won't grind me